Managed to kill another plant. The chili's doing well though. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video. And today we're going to be making hot mango sago. Timestamps are down below in the description if you want to skip the initial blah blah, but stick around if you want to learn more about this recipe. And what is sago? Growing up in the UK, I could find sago anywhere. You could find both sago and tapioca. Nowadays I find I can only find tapioca both in Asian and Western supermarkets, whereas both used to be widely available. But what are they? Although they are both starches, they're actually very different and they come from different places. Tapioca comes from the cassava root, and sago actually comes from the sago palm tree. In both cases, both are processed and they are soaked for ages to get rid of any toxins before being dried, and then the starch is extracted from both. And then both, when cooked with a little water, turns into this lovely chewy gummy treat. In fact, you probably already know tapioca from bubble tea. Sago is usually, or rather was usually, sold in small pearls like this. Sometimes they're called sago seeds, but recently these I have found have started to be called tapioca pearls or tapioca seeds. Very different from the bubble tea tapioca pearls. In fact, these bigger ones are not only bigger, but they're also cooked with a bit of brown sugar, which gives them the colouring, and probably some fake colour too, to be honest. Now I'm going to put this aside because we're not going to be talking about boba bubble tea today. In my quest to find a bag of sago, I bought some from the internet, and I ended up with this. And it's a bit big for making mango sago. You can make mango sago, to be honest, with any size sago or tapioca, but traditionally you use the small one. Now, notice the difference, or rather the similarity, between this bag of sago and this bag of tapioca. They're the same. Turns out a lot of products that are marketed as sago are actually made out of tapioca. And I have a running theory, don't quote me because it's just a theory, that the reason why, particularly in the UK, sago is less and less prominent, less and less easy to find, is because regulations are telling people, no, you cannot call sago tapioca because it is different, it is misleading. In fact, real sago is brown, not this lovely bright white colour. And it's a bit naughty really, because looking at the ingredients of some products that say sago, they just say ingredients sago, but when you research into it, actually they've just used tapioca starch. When eating it, it probably doesn't make much difference to you or me because they have the same kind of chewy, sticky mouthfeel, the similar kind of taste, relatively tasteless. But sago is much more expensive to manufacture, so even more cheeky that companies are labelling things as sago when they are not, and they've just made them cheaply from tapioca, from cassava roots, not the tree. Having said that, whenever I can find sago these days online only, I say sago. It is very cheap and it's only the white stuff. So I don't think people in the UK at least are making much of a profit mislabelling sago, mislabelling tapioca as sago. But I do have a feeling that is the reason why sago, that looks suspiciously like tapioca, has disappeared from UK shelves. That doesn't matter today though, because for mango sago, this particular dessert, which is a Cantonese dessert from Hong Kong by the way, this kind of sago, which is actually little tapioca pearls, has pretty much always been used. The word sago is used interchangeably to refer to these teeny tiny starch balls. So that's what we're going to use today, and these tiny tapioca pearls you can pretty much find anywhere in Asian supermarkets in the UK. Failing that, if you are desperate, yes, you can use the big bubble tea tapiocas, but your dessert's going to have a different texture. Better to use these teeny tiny ones. Now before you come at me, I know mango sago is usually eaten cold. This recipe you can absolutely make cold. All you have to do is cool it down. When you make the sago, you rinse it under cold water anyway to separate the little balls. And when you make the mango coconut milk, all you have to do is cool it down and chill it. Today it's a cold day, so I'm going to serve it warm, which is actually how I like to eat it. Probably because I live in the UK, so it's cold a lot of the time, and then when I travel back east, then I have this dessert cold because it makes sense. But this is just showing you how to make the dessert in general, super easy, how I personally like it. And I like to add a little bit of pandan as well, just to give it a little extra fragrance. Totally optional, most recipes don't call for pandan. I just love adding it to the coconut milk and infusing it. So with all that said, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. First we're going to set up our sago, or in this case tapioca I guess. I'm filling a small pan with some boiling water. Let's pop it on, and I'm going to wait for it to simmer. And once it's like in between a simmer and a boil rather, I'm going to add 2 small handfuls of sago / tapioca seed pearls, so these tiny ones here. Just add them straight into the boiling water. And you can give it a little stir every so often just to help stop those little tapioca pearls from sticking. But the whole idea of adding them to a simmering / boiling pot of water is that the movement of the water will help them not stick. Now over here I'm going to dump in 3/4 of a can of full fat coconut milk. Do not use the half fat low fat stuff. I'm going to add 2 tablespoonfuls of caster sugar, a little pinch of salt. I'm going to dump in most of a fresh mango that I've cut up. I'm going to reserve these bits for garnishes, so most of a small fresh mango. And I'm also going to shred and knot up and pop in a whole pandan leaf. So this is what it looks like fresh. This is a nice fresh one. Usually I buy them in batches so I can wash them, dry them and freeze them, so that then when I need it I can just take one, clean one out of the freezer. But yes, I got a fresh batch recently, so this is nice and glossy and fresh. After you put them in the freezer, they tend to be a bit more floppy and bendy, which is absolutely fine. Just doesn't look as pretty for the camera. So let's shred it first. Get all of that lovely fragrance. And now we're going to knot it to make it a little bit easier to manage. Now we're going to plop that in. Let's pop the heat on to a medium heat. And we're basically going to let these two simmer at the same time. So for the sago, the tapioca, we're going to cook this for about 20 minutes. And we're cooking this quite fast on the simmer and a boil. We're going to very gently simmer this on a much lower heat so it cooks more slowly. Now we are just about done. I'm going to turn the heat off. This is lovely. Give it a stir to reincorporate any of those fats that have curdled a bit. Not really curdled, more like thickened because we've cooked down some of the liquid. Let's take this off the heat, whoops. And you can see that those little tapioca pearls have become translucent. There are a few, 1 or 2 with a tiny white dot in there, but that is absolutely fine. Right, now we're going to drain this. And we're also going to get rid of our pandan leaf because that is spent now. This is very fibrous. You can't really eat pandan leaves, they're very tough. Let's give it a squeeze to get rid of that coconut milk. And yes, we're going to bin this. So what I like to do is I like to actually add a little bit of cold water to rinse these out. Get rid of the extra jelly starch because the water's quite goopy. Give them a rinse through. And if you're making this pudding cold, then this is also a great way to cool it down. Drain it through. Oh, look at those, they're like little gems, and we're going to put that back in the pan. Doing this helps them unstick them from each other as well and keep them nice and loose. Now what I'd normally do if I were making a big batch of this would be to mix this sago straight into the coconut milk and then I would divide it, but since we're only making a portion for 2, I want to do it evenly, so I'm going to pop the sago straight into our serving bowls. And I'm going to spoon our coconut and mango concoction straight on top. Give them a little bit of a stir so that those sago seeds, the sago pearls down there, don't stick. And now finally I'm going to be a little bit bougie and decorate the top with my extra mango chunks. And a couple of fresh pandan leaves because why not? Lovely. I wish you could smell these through the screen, they are so fragrant. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drizzle a little extra full fat coconut milk on top. This is completely optional, I just like that extra bit of creaminess. Lovely, smells so good. Cheers! Fruity creamy goodness. I love the extra fragrance that pandan leaf gives. And you saw how super easy that was to make. Check out those lovely little tapioca Sago pearls. Yes, I know it looks a bit like frog spawn, but that's part of the charm. The tapioca pearls themselves don't really taste of anything, they're more like a texture carrier for that lovely creamy sauce and the mango. And of course, mango and coconut are made to go together, absolute perfection. And it has the hallmark of the perfect Asian dessert by being not too sweet. So there you go, hot mango sago, which you can also serve cold if you like. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed today's recipe video and I hope you'll join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full written recipe on my blog tashcakes.com, follow me on Instagram, I'm tashcakes.taste, and find me on TikTok too, I'm tashcakes there too, but my handle is food in slow motion. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you'd like to see more, give this video a like if you'd like to help other people find it, comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I will see you all next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week. I've never heard that car alarm before.